Three Corners is just your average small town, standing on the banks of a flood-prone river with a large pub anchoring the village at a once famous three-way intersection. Now it's simply convenient, as people chase the country dream, the country lifestyle, just not the unceasing agricultural workload. Population 2,000-ish. But like all small towns, scratch the surface and you'll be surprised at what you find underneath. In that sense, Three Corners is really no different to any other small town I know, except perhaps for some of the characters you might meet. Enforced courtesy. For 6 months, he caught the bus into work. In those 6 months, only 2 people returned his greeting. 2. Apart from the bus drivers, who always said hello, shared a joke, commiserated on a sporting team's loss. One morning, the ticket machine wasn't working. Everyone got a free ride into the city, and not one of those horrid passengers stopped to thank the bus driver for letting them on for free. Except for him. Then one day, the bus ride was very different. It was a brilliant day at work. The project was successful and he hot-footed it over the bridge, swimming through the muggy air in order to get to the bus stop. Throwing himself into the throng of the peak hour crowd, step fast, quick, look busy, self-important. 9 out of 10 people had earphones in. At least half were looking at their phones as they crossed the road. Lined up along the pavement waited the crowd, all expectant for the bus ride home. Their heads turned in coordinated directions, down to the phone, then up to the road. Phone, then road. A poor man's tennis match. 2 buses, both express, turned up and there was a fight to the doors by the obviously overworked, tired and desperate masses. Slowly appearing behind them was another bus. It went the same route, but rambled rather than raced. So he sauntered down and, hassle-free, hopped on, swiped his card, thanked the driver and wandered to the back of the bus to enjoy the cool of the air conditioning in a seat all to himself. Not that he was on his own for very long. Chugging quietly along, it stopped at every stop, finally filled to overflowing. He sat in the corner trying to ignore the young man sitting next to him munching on deliciously crispy fried chicken. He pretended he couldn't hear his stomach gurgling and was thankful that the young man pretended that he couldn't hear either. It wasn't till about halfway through the trip that he realised that there was an anomaly. The bus driver, taking the opportunity at a red light, informed the passengers that the stop buttons weren't working and they would have to signal to her in a clear manner when they wished to get off the bus. Never was a silence more pronounced. Speak to the bus driver out loud, and who would? Gleefully, he put his book away. His stop wasn't for another 20 minutes, but he was looking forward to seeing those rude passengers having to pipe up. The journey where each passenger sits in silence, wrapped in their own world, their own earphones, their own thoughts and podcasts, would finally become one filled with voices. The first man to speak out set the tone.
Next stop, please.
He bellowed. And then the next, a young woman.
Next stop, please.
People were saying please.
Next stop, please.
He couldn't help but grin and sat enthralled over the remainder of his trip.
Next stop, please.
As the bus got emptier,
Next stop, please.
he could see people becoming anxious as their stop approached. Some looked around, willing another person to say it.
Next stop, please.
Some walked the length of the bus to whisper it quietly, directly to the bus driver. All in all, he'd never heard so many courtesies uttered since he moved here.
Next stop, please.
As his stop approached, he shouldered his bag and double-checked that he had his phone, wallet and keys. He started to get up, his turn for the next stop, please, when the bus driver called out to him,
Got it, love.
They shared a smile as he left, and he waved his hand, calling out thank you, Stepping down, he accidentally knocked a stop button and the bell rang out. He laughed all the way home. Today's episode of Three Corners was produced by our maestro,
Postie,
and featured the spelt-like tones of
Tara.
Craig.
Franklin Frosties.
and Jack. For more stories, head to talesfromthreecorners.com.au or subscribe to wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts.